Let me tell you, friends, I have just come from a meeting with the ambassador of the US. You know, and she came to tell me what you already know, that the president of the US has invited the president of Kenya for a state visit, one of a kind. In 20 years, no African president has had a state visit in the US.
What exactly is the secret mission, real secret mission, between the US President Joe Biden and President William Samuel Ruto? Because their close relationship and very, very close relationship is causing mixed reactions, not in Kenya alone, but across Africa. And some times back, President Joe Biden commented William Ruto publicly because of his good work.
I thank President Ruto of Kenya's, I thank him for his willingness to serve as the lead nation of a UN-backed security support mission. I call on the Security Council to authorize this mission now.
In Kenya, for example, Raila Odinga and his allies and his supporters are not comfortable, but they are also really, really concerned about President William Ruto and Joe Biden. Remember that Raila Odinga and his allies believe that President Joe Biden is actually the one who made William Ruto to be the president of the Republic of Kenya in the previous 2022 general elections. They believe that the United States is always against Raila Amolo Odinga. Is that really true? In my considered opinion, it is not. I strongly believe that William Ruto won the previous 2022 general elections free and fair. But especially since the US ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, announced to the public that the previous 2022 general elections was free and fair in the history of the Republic of Kenya. That statement alone made Raila Odinga and his supporters to be very, very angry. And I remember very well that Raila Odinga described the US ambassador to Kenya, Meg Whitman, as rogue. You know, Raila Odinga has never accepted the reality of losing elections. Raila Odinga lost the elections to the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, 3 times, but Raila Odinga never accepted. In the previous 2022 general elections, Raila Odinga lost to President William Ruto. But up to date, Raila Odinga has not yet acknowledged William Ruto as the president of the Republic of Kenya, simply because of living in denial. And that is why when you ask any of Raila Odinga's supporters, they will definitely tell you that Raila Odinga did not lose the previous elections to William Ruto. Away from that, some Kenyans also are very concerned about President William Ruto and Joe Biden's relationship. Some of them believe that President Joe Biden is using President William Ruto to achieve a certain objective here in Kenya and also in Africa. I want us to find out, because President Joe Biden has made a formal invitation. He has invited President William Ruto for a state visit on May 23rd. What is the real reasons behind all this, and why William Ruto's visit is very, very important? Why do you think President Joe Biden wants to see William Ruto? Before I give you the factual details, just a quick reminder that if you're listening to me up to this point and you haven't subscribed, I'm requesting you to please just take a second or two and subscribe to this channel. You can also give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend this video in particular and this channel to reach out to others. Because the only way that we can improve on this channel to grow is by subscribing. And that is why to all those who have already subscribed, I really, really want to appreciate you. Let us begin with this letter here. A very strange letter which came directly from the White House, from President Joe Biden himself, through the U.S. Foreign Affairs Department. That letter is a formal request requesting William Ruto to address the U.S. Congress, or rather the U.S. Parliament, during his official visit to the U.S. Allow me to read for you just a section of this letter which says, "We are writing to respectfully request that you extend a formal invitation to the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, to address a joint session of Congress on his official visit to the US." Why do you think Biden also wants William Ruto to address the US Parliament? And why is it very, very important? It sends a valuable signal to the people of Kenya that William Ruto addressing the US Parliament and William Ruto's official visit to the US is very, very important. Why? Because William Ruto will be the first Kenyan head of state to address the US joint session. There is no other president here in Kenya who has ever gotten that opportunity. Number two, in the entire Africa, only the president of Liberia had that opportunity to address the US Joint Congress. No other president in Africa who has ever gotten that opportunity. And the president of Liberia had that opportunity 18 years ago. So the question is, why do you think President Joe Biden is inviting William Ruto to the US? There are three very, very important reasons here. Number one, I strongly believe that President Joe Biden wants to win more African heads of state. And William Ruto is just the beginning. Why am I saying this? Because majority of African countries are no longer interested in the US. Majority of African countries are working very closely with Russia. Majority of African countries are working very closely with China. Also India and Brazil. It is called BRICS. So US President Joe Biden must do something to win back the relationship between the US and African countries. That is why he is inviting William Ruto. And remember that William Ruto has been in the limelight. William Ruto is seen as a leader, the most superior leader here in Africa. That is why William Ruto going to the US is very, very important, not just in Kenya alone, but across Africa. Number two, I also believe that they will discuss the mission to Haiti. Did the mission to Haiti stop? Of course, yes. It became very, very complicated immediately after the official resignation of the Haitian Prime Minister. Immediately he resigned, everything became so complicated. That is why Kenya has not yet sent the troops to Haiti to restore peace. And finally, lastly, which is very, very important, according to President Joe Biden, he is inviting William Ruto in order to strengthen the Kenyan-US ties again. If you remember very well, the former head of state, Uhuru Kenyatta, did not work very closely with the US. Uhuru Kenyatta worked very closely with China. That is why President Joe Biden is seeing an opportunity again in President William Ruto's leadership. Kenya and the US will strengthen its ties. That is it. I don't know what you think. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also want to know your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section down below. Why do you think Joe Biden is inviting William Ruto to the US for the official state visit? Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Let me see you again in my next video analysis. My name is Jason. Bye bye and have a good day.